We need some more dicks in horror movies.
The Holler Kings, where the horror's Southern fried.
Hello, I'm Craig.
And I'm Adam.
And we're the Holler Kings.
The motherfucking Holler Kings.
It's true. Adam.
Yes, sir.
What film are we going to be discussing today?
Oh, we're going to be getting hot and heavy with the movie X.
Farmer's daughter, take one. I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
There ain't nobody else out there like you. You know why?
Why?
Because you got that X Factor. So this is it. Our own studio backlot.
I'm looking for a place to stay.
Oh, yes, sir.
That's one ugly son of a bitch. And my wife, Pearl, is next door. So I would appreciate a little discretion.
He don't know what we're doing, does he?
Well, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
My wife is not well.
You don't want to leave, do you?
People's eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this.
One of the boys found this inside.
What do you think is on it?
I see one goddamn fucked up horror picture.
X. Remember when everyone was talking about X?
Yeah.
A few weeks ago? A couple months ago? Well, now we're going to talk about X. Fucking 3 months too late. But nonetheless...
Finger on the pulse.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Nonetheless, I mean, it is a Southern horror film. Or it's a horror film set in the South. So we felt it would be wrong for us to let this pass without us weighing in.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to. We have to.
Also, this dropped on demand.
Yeah, it just recently popped up. So
that's one of the reasons.
Go
also.
rent it. Watch it.
Yeah, it's a little pricier than the standard video on demand fare. But if you think about it in terms of going to the theater,
buying popcorn and drinks and hating your life because all that shit's so expensive.
And it was cool to like support the film financially as well, because I know it's a smaller production, A24.
Yeah, especially considering I didn't get a chance to go see it in theaters. Like, I was cool paying that $20 to support a filmmaker who I respect and like so much, and a company that I respect and like so much, for someone that puts out so much like interesting, cinema, and isn't just the kind of standard fare that we usually get. You want to support those people and those companies for sure.
I have a little confession. I'm not super up on Ty West.
Really?
I've only seen. I was thinking about it when I was doing a little bit of review before the podcast.
I hope you say the only other movie you have seen is Cabin Fever 2.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Technically I have seen that movie, though. Yeah. I don't think of it as his film.
He doesn't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the House of the Devil, I feel like, is the only film of his that I've watched from beginning to end. And I remember liking it. So it's weird that I've never really tracked down his work after that. Obviously, VHS, I've seen that as well, which I know he had a lot to do with the first one, at least. Because he directed one of the segments, I believe, of the first one.
Yeah.
But
which is probably the only thing of his I'm not too big a fan of. But
but I haven't seen what's it, like The Sacrament and The Innkeepers.
Yep.
I haven't seen that stuff.
Trigger Man. Yeah.
Are those older ones?
The Roost was like his very first one. That was like 2004, 2005. So that was one of his right out the gate movies. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Ty West. You said you're a fan, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it.
I'm
novice.
He's kind of one of those. I think because we've discussed him before. He's kind of brought up and helped along by Glass Eye Pix and Larry Fessenden.
Hold on, Glass Eye Picks.
Yes,
that's a film production.
Yes, that's Larry Feston's production company.
Okay, again, being out of the loop, I thought that was a person.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's a unique name for that
That's
guy or whatever.
interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
is that his given Christian name?
So wow, Fessenden is like coming up a lot in these conversations.
Yeah.
He's like a real power broker, huh? Like
Yeah.
or someone that like helps people kind of in their careers a little bit.
Oh, for sure. He's nurtured a lot of careers, but Ty West was one of them. And so yeah, I remember watching The Roost back when it first came out. It was kind of one of those ones. I probably read about it in like Fangoria or something like that as being like this new kind of in. Because it's a super indie low budget movie. But
I'm assuming this is like aughts. This is like
yeah,
05,
it's like
around
05, 04, 05
Yeah.
is when The Roost came out. And so it kind of got on my radar. I watched it and really dug it and just kind of stuck with his focus on his career ever since then. I was like, I like that. I've seen pretty much everything else he's done. I think Sacrament's the only one that I haven't seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard that one's excellent, by the way.
It's supposed to be
And
really
it's never
good,
gotten
but
around to
it kind of focuses on, it's like one of those whole cult type things. And when it first came out, I was like, I don't really want to watch that right now. And I haven't went back and watched it. I need to, because it is supposed to be really good.
So cool. So and I know Ty West has done a lot of television too, because I feel like I've seen his name pop up with like some TV shows I've watched, like Outsider. I think he did that.
But he may have. I know he did some like The Scream and
That's right. Yeah.
He
Wayward Pines. I think I saw
Yeah.
his name because I watched that several years back.
Yeah, I think it pretty much think Sacrament might have been his. Well, no, because he did a Western too. But
With like John Travolta. I
Yeah,
saw that earlier.
yeah,
I was like, oh, I got to check that down because
yeah,
that sounds interesting.
That's another one I haven't seen either, actually. But yeah, and then he kind of took some time off. I know I guess he was kind of getting a little weary of the game of please fund my movie, please fund my movie. And he's like, he just went in and did directing for a few years.
Director, like journeyman directing.
Yeah. Like, hey, can you be here? Yep, I can. And then just go off and direct, some episodes of some TV shows.
So this is kind of his return to, I don't want to say indie filmmaking, but like his own baby, like
For sure.
writing and directing
Yeah.
and everything after a little break.
Actually, I didn't listen to it before. I wanted to watch X first because they talk about it. But he was recently on a couple weeks ago, the Colors Out of the Dark podcast.
Okay.
They had him on and he was talking about it. And he discussed he just kind of got tired of that whole game. And so he went and directed for a while. And he said he'd been him and A24 have been kind of threatening to do a movie together for a while. And he just kind of spitballed this movie and come up with a whole idea for it and said, I'll write it and I'll send it to them. Hopefully they like it. And if they don't, well, I probably won't even do the movie. And luckily they liked it and did the movie. So.
Let's talk about the plot. Let's
Okay.
give us
Yeah.
kind of a basic plot of X.
Yeah, you got it takes place in 1979. A group of young indie amateur filmmakers set off to a farm in rural Texas to film a pornographic movie.
Yes.
The Farmer's Daughter.
Oh wow! Yeah, this is like when porn is at its peak. When
You got the Debbie Does Dallas, but what was that? Beyond the Green Door or something like that. I
obviously
forget.
Deep Throat as
Deep
well.
Throat, yeah.
Where it's like literal pornography is mainstream and like
Right.
soccer moms basically are going to the theater to watch this with their husbands.
Yeah.
And like Last Tango in Paris with Marlon Brando is borderline pornography with like big stars and everything. Midnight Cowboy, you could argue. So there's like a whole era where this is like the mainstream are kind of buying into this, and it's not seen as filthy necessarily, I guess, by a lot of people. And Wayne, the
Wayne.
producer,
Wayne.
I guess he owns kind of like a strip club, I guess.
It seems like
something along those lines.
He runs one at least or something.
Yeah. But he's the big mastermind behind the idea of like, hey, he's actually seeing into the future because he he speculates that VHS is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Home video is going to be a big deal. So now people don't have to go to the theater if they're embarrassed. They can like rent this and watch it in the privacy of their own home.
Whatever their kink is, they can find it and
Right.
watch it at home.
So he is a prophet because that's exactly what happens.
He had it nailed to a fucking T.
It's almost like someone from the future is writing his dialogue, but that's okay. So yeah, like they decide to make a low budget porn, and they're gonna try to get in on that VHS, home video market. So it's
Getting
really
on
smart,
the ground
actually.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
If things didn't take such a negative turn, they would have been set.
But what does happen after they travel to a location to film their opus, and what happens?
Shit. Poor Wayne. Things do not go well. Let's just say the farmer, or I get it's on a farm, but I don't know if he even really does any farm work. But the owner and his lovely wife decide to stop their plans of stardom in the tracks, so to speak.
Yes, I mean I think that's a pretty good setup and synopsis. How did you feel about this movie?
Man, I loved this movie.
Really? Yeah.
Like, full stop. I loved it. Granted, this movie's been out for a few weeks, but compared to the stuff we usually review, it's still pretty fresh. So we will get into spoilers coming up. We'll try to kind of keep it a little obscure before then, but we're definitely going to get spoilery. So if you have not seen the movie, go rent it.
Yeah, I mean, I would also, I maybe didn't love it as much as you, but I would also recommend checking it out if you love horror and you want to kind of be in on this conversation.
You brought it up just with House of the Devil, like, and that was when I saw that Ty West was going to be making a movie set in the 70s. I knew we were in good hands because this movie feels like it was filmed in the 70s, just like with House of the Devil. House of the Devil feels such like an 80s movie. It's so on point, and especially when at that time there were so many of these like 80s throwback movies that were just so poorly executed, and then he comes out with House of the Devil, and that movie is right on point. I knew we were in good hands, and I honestly, the whole feel of it felt 70s, like an honest version of the 70s, not like, I'm not shitting on this movie, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, because I really liked it, but I mean, it's got this heightened sense of the 70s look to it. While this felt, it's like everything's yellow and drab, but while there is that sense to those 70s movies, there was still color and everything like that. And I felt like this did that, honestly. Felt like a 70s. I don't know how you feel about it.
No, I totally agree. Another thing I think I really appreciated about this movie, and it's not really fair, but it's just, it's just the era we're living in, is a lot of movies right now are dealing in nostalgia and kitschiness and references and stuff like that. Like I think of the most recent Scream. Yeah. This being basically like a Wikipedia page of references to Scream movies, right? Or like even like those recent Fear Street movies, right? One of them was set in the 70s. Yeah. And it was basically like, let's check off all these boxes of things from the 70s so people know this is set in the 70s and they can go, oh, I remember that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Twinkies, like just over and over and over and over. And that's fine. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah, personally, I like those movies. Yeah. But yeah, I do agree with you that it's...
I feel like it's an oversaturation of that sort of thing right now. And it was kind of refreshing to see something set back in the day, made in the modern era, that isn't relying on that. Yeah. Like it's like you said, it's like a feeling of the 70s without explicitly just saying over and over, this is the 70s. Hey, I'm watching Fat Albert. I love Fat Albert. Like, you know what I mean? It's not just like bringing up 70s stuff for the sake of kitschiness or whatever. And I don't know. I really appreciated that. I thought it was like refreshing.
Yeah. For sure.
First of all, Wayne and his cohorts, they settle into this little house on a farm property to shoot this porno.
Yeah, it's like a little guest house, I guess. Yeah. It's on the same plot of land as where the owner and his wife live. I mean, it's probably good, I don't know, like 100, 200 yards away. It's not super far away. But it's set up like it's an actual little guest house that they go to try to get some privacy to film
their opus.
Yeah.
Their sexual opus.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is it becomes apparent pretty early on, the older man that owns the house and his wife Pearl, they weren't expecting this big group. Like, I don't think Wayne prepped them appropriately. Like, he probably told them, hey, I need this house for the weekend. It's like me and my wife, whatever. And they thought that's all it was going to be. So the older man that owns the property is like really standoffish from the get-go, because he's like, why are there several people here? Because there's like, 2 actors, 2 filmmakers, Wayne and his actor girlfriend as well. So it's like 6 people when they're expecting 2. So I think they're already kind of, just from the get-go, a little standoffish. And then when they realize what they're doing, this older couple realizes that they're shooting pornography, they're having sex, they're being openly sexual, and it starts to stoke some feelings in these older people.
Yeah, that it does.
Yes, especially Pearl, the wife of the duo.
Pearl.
We can see her just kind of having a sexual reawakening, basically. She is... like, when we say these people are old, I feel like we're downplaying it, because they're like Methuselah old.
Are old.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like decrepit, bordering on like ageism style stuff, because I feel like we're supposed to be a little bit creeped out by them because they're so old. But Pearl is like kind of eavesdropping on some of these sex scenes that they're filming. You kind of see her just really getting into it, and she's having some
picturing
feelings.
Herself in the moment,
right?
It definitely reawakened, because I feel like these two, it's pretty abrasive that they're sexually repressed, especially Pearl. And then she definitely is not happy with where her life went. Yeah, she had dreams of being like a big dancer and all this stuff, and things didn't go that way.
Yeah, it seems like she's lived isolated on a farm
for
the bulk of her adult life. Yeah.
It does. I can't remember. Does it say that they have kids? I don't think they even mentioned that they have kids or anything. Yeah. So, yeah, she's definitely pent up in a lot of ways and not happy about how life turned out for her. And so she starts to kind of almost try to live vicariously through them, but is so offset by the isolation that she doesn't go about it in the best way. And like, because there's this whole scene with her and Maxine,
Mia Goth,
who is Wayne's sort of girlfriend, I guess,
and lead actress. I guess she's one of the main actresses.
Yeah, she's kind of the one that the main focus is on. But theirs is like this really uncomfortable scene with her and Pearl, and like where she's telling her about how, you're so beautiful, appreciate your beauty and all this, and starts like trying to touch her and everything.
Well, and there's kind of like almost like a motif of sexual awakenings, right? Because there's also Jenny.
Is it Jenny or Jenna?
Jenna
Ortega.
Sorry.
Okay.
Jenna Ortega. She plays. They keep calling her Church Mouse, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because she's
which gave me vibe. It might not be pulled from this, but did you ever see Night of the Demons 2?
No.
Okay, there's a character in that they call Mouse, but they say they reference it like a church mouse because she's so quiet and timid and everything. Yeah. But it made me think of that when they kept calling her Church Mouse.
Oh, nice. Ortega is very, she's very quiet and she's staring at them. That's like a thing they keep kind of bringing up. Is like, do you want to say something? Because you're staring at me right now. But anyway, she's like the sound person on this. She's doing the boom mic. And her boyfriend, RJ.
Poor RJ.
RJ, the most tragic character of the film, maybe. Well, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
But a very tragic character nonetheless. RJ is the filmmaker. He sees himself as more than just a guy making a porno. He is trying to bring some art.
He sees himself as like Wells or somebody like that, for sure.
Yeah, which, again, that 70s filmmaking, I could totally see that. Someone trying to make like something genuinely artistic.
If you look, honestly, look at people like, Wes Craven got his start in pornography. So, it was a common thing. I think I don't know if Scorsese, but I know there's like a lot of prominent big filmmakers that got their start doing pornography.
I think Sean Cunningham did too.
Oh yeah,
he?
for sure, because that's how him and Craven got together for Last House and left. So,
but
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, like Ortega her character has a sexual awakening when she's witnessing all these sex scenes, which we see as well. That she starts to get kind of curious about it, you know, and she wants to kind of, at a certain point, she's like, I think I want to do one of these scenes.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Why not me? Like, I feel like that's when like there's a split in this film. Like the first 30 minutes or so is like almost like a fun but mysterious kind of like sex romp type of thing, and then once she makes that decision, it's like a line has been crossed, and things kind of go a different direction.
I noticed that too, and I guess. I kind of saw, I may be reading into, there's a couple points where I'm like, I don't know, I may be reading too much into this movie. Like there's this one moment, it's at the beginning where they're talking about something, their American dream or like something like that in the van. And she says, what's your dream or something like that. And then it immediately cuts to a rooster. And I was like, oh. Dream cock. I was like, that's funny. But then I thought about it for a second. I was like, wait, that may be a chicken. So never mind. Maybe I'm just reading into this shit. But there was a point there because there is an emphasis on when, I mean, I guess we're starting to get a little bit spoilery, but when she does have sex on, you know, and have it filmed, it's like really heightened. It's like all slow mo. There's a big emphasis on her sex scene, even though we don't see any of the sex scene.
I'm sorry. It should be noted that the other two sex scenes we do see explicitly,
yes, explicit,
like Mia Goth's and Brittany Snow.
Yeah,
with Kid Cudi. Is that his name?
Kid Cudi.
Cudi.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi. Good old Kid Cudi. You know, they're, you know, soft porn explicit. I mean, it doesn't get really explicit, but I mean, you see nudity and you know the sex acts that they're producing or whatever. Yeah. Whereas Ortega's, it kind of skews. It doesn't quite show anything. Yeah.
It shows them where they're about to get started, and then that kind of cuts. And really, that's when it kind of sort of really cuts into night. And like I said, I'm probably just reading into things, but given that this is a slasher film, it kind of felt like like the turn is the same as like with slasher films back in the day. The whole thing is the virginal final girl, even though Ortega's character in this wasn't, I mean, I assume wasn't a virgin or anything like that. Just that loss of innocence, sorta, quote unquote, is when it takes the turn and things become violent.
For sure. And there's even like, I mean, RJ, the director, is like really upset by this idea. I mean, he just cannot handle the idea that his significant other wants to do the porno, even though he's literally directing a porno movie. Like RJ crying in the shower, I had conflicted feelings about it, because to me it was funny, but I could see, like, in fairness, I could see how that would be soul crushing to.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some nice tension because even though this is not Texas, this is New Zealand, is where they filmed it.
I mean, I thought it was Texas.
I mean, you contrast this with the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that was obviously shot somewhere other than Texas. I mean, this is so blatant, and this feels Southern, even though it's made in another country. Like, I have to admit,
I will say, going back to the Colors of the Dark podcast. Elric Kane is from New Zealand, and he was like, the only way I could tell it was shot in New Zealand was from some candy that was in the store that's like from New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
He's like, that was the only way I could tell. Other than that, it looked
that's wild.
Texas. Yeah, so
there's like nice touches of Southern stuff, because I mean, like the soundtrack, I feel like you almost hear like cicadas, like that type of, you know, the insects in the evening, and then there's a nice sequence. I think it's Mia Goth's character is swimming.
That's what I was thinking of.
You see the, I'm assuming it's an alligator.
Yeah.
Is stalking her, and there's like a great sequence where she has no clue that this alligator's in the water with her, and she's swimming towards the dock, and you know, it's great tension and music, kind of images and music married together. It's just a great scene.
What I love, and what's so great about it, is there's no real payoff in that scene that you would think, because you would think like, oh, I'd try to get her, but she got away, and she knew, but she has no idea the alligator was ever there, no clue about it. But what Ty West is really great at is, while it feels like there's no payoff there, there's payoff. So,
right.
But he's really good about building tension and about letting scenes kind of linger and being patient with filmmaking. So and I just love how that was shot from like overhead, and you just slowly see it coming towards her. She just slowly starts, going back to the dock. And he did these. There's another, when we get more into spoilers, it's with one of the deaths. There was something I really liked, but I love how he did like these edits where it would be cut into another scene, and I'm not sure why, but I just thought it was really cool how it would cut to the next scene, then cut back to the scene we were previously in, and kind of like, I mean, it's not like it's real fast cuts, but I don't know, it's just really interesting.
I'm pretty sure RJ, the filmmaker, mentions he's going to do a similar editing technique in the porno. It's kind of like mirroring what he had in mind, I guess, for storytelling and linear editing and everything. One other thing I think is worth mentioning is the 70s tone also plays into the storytelling, because again, a slick modern horror movie is going to front load a kill in the beginning.
For sure. It's like the cold open so much.
It has to kind of give you like a little tease and let you know, hey, you're in for like some fun, so buckle up. This is 70s storytelling where it's like it's slowly introducing us to these characters. Like it gives us some titillating stuff in terms of sex and the dialogue and everything, but the violence doesn't come until, I mean, we're maybe 40 minutes into the movie, if not longer,
at least,
before any real violence happens.
We get kind of a little cold open of just aftermath.
Oh, right. Good
but
point.
I mean, it's just building up like, what happened here? Let's show you.
And there's a little bit of hints of, again, thinking about Southern Gothic or whatever, religion kind of plays into it a lot here. Where,
especially with like the TV, the old black and white TV playing like the preacher, who's sitting there, preaching about, sin and all, just the tonal kind of thing you would expect.
Well, and he's very of his time because he's worried about pornography and things that are kind of entering the mainstream. And I thought that was legit footage at first.
I did too at first.
I didn't realize that it was made for the film. I thought they had found some authentic, because the women, especially in that scene, I think look straight up like real people from the 70s that would be at some sermon that's being televised.
It felt very authentic to some of the churches I've been to. So I was like, I did too. I was like, oh, okay, they found some like old 8mm reel of like a preacher or something. Spoilers ahead.
Yes, official spoiler, 30-minute mark.
Where do you want to start?
RJ is upset that his girlfriend has done the sex scene, and he decides after a very long cry in the shower.
Sometimes you just need a cry in the shower.
He decides, you know what, F these people, I'm ditching this. I'm leaving. So he packs up his stuff, gets in his truck, middle of the night, and he's going to quietly leave, just abandon the project. And as he's driving off in his truck, he is confronted by Pearl. Pearl is standing in his way in the road. She looks a little disheveled and confused. So he gets out of the truck and tries to basically talk to her and figure out if something's wrong.
Right.
And what happens?
Well, at first, she comes on to him.
I'm glad I sent that to you because I would have glossed over that. That's very important.
Yeah. He walks up to her and starts trying to talk to her, and she's starts trying to come on to him, trying to get him to touch her and feel her, and then he's like, what are you doing, lady? And he's like, no. And then she's like, okay, and knifes him right in the neck.
Brutal.
So clean. Like, it's just, she's so matter of fact. She's like, and then leaves it. He falls down, and then she just starts brutally.
Yeah, it's a very visceral kill.
It's pretty. And then
It gets into like the Jalo, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the
style, because like the blood spatter is so crazy that it hits like his headlights on his
on the van,
and then it's almost like a red gel for after that, where she is just like red head to toe, like lit up or whatever. It's really cool.
And she has this. I guess it's almost supposed to be like orgasmic to her, because her eyes are kind of like rolling in the back of her head, and then she gets up invigorated and almost kind of does this little dance and everything. It's such a, that's what I really like about, it's such an interesting way to do a slasher movie, because we've seen thousands of slashers, but one that's done in this tone, in this way, was just, I don't know, it was interesting to me.
So like, I think you hit on something really important though, because another thing I thought was really impressive about this and refreshing was we're in an age of elderly slashers, right? The newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre had Leatherface like well into his 50s, if not 60s, right? He would have been pretty old at that point. Michael Myers in the current Halloween series, he's like pushing 70, and you would never know it. You would never know that these guys are old, because they're just as capable as they were when they were 30 years old. You know what I mean? Like, they're still badasses. They still do feats of strength that are unparalleled. Yeah. So it was really cool. You don't see Myers
being like, God damn it, my knee, fuck.
Right. And it was really cool to see how these are older people that are slashers, right? The couple, especially Pearl, is like a traditional slasher, but she uses her fragile looks to kind of get people in close, and that's how she takes them down. I thought that was cool. Like, I wish so much that these aging slashers would do stuff like that sometimes, instead of just being, same as they ever were. Yeah. So I really appreciated that they used like older characters that are antagonists in that way. Like, they used it to like their advantage in a weird way.
Right. Yeah.
Because Pearl used that it was almost like calculated. How she would bring in someone close.
And calculating to. Yeah. Because she has to be. These are young, virile people.
Yeah, they're not gonna.
She's not gonna overtake them.
Yeah, and without putting too fine a point on it, eventually when they do have to actually fight and go mano a mano, it does not go very well. It's like they have to use their fragileness and just kind of let people lower their guards and everything to be effective. I thought that was really cool. I really like that angle a lot.
Yeah, because it's old people that are old. It's like, that's great. Yeah. Use that.
They're actually old.
Make that a point to it. It turns slashers on its head so much in this, without being like meta about it. Yeah. First, you got a female slasher instead of the male, and then you got it's an old person. Yeah. You just don't see there's no like mask or anything like that, or costume. It's just old person.
Like in her nightgown, basically.
Yeah. Can't wait for the Halloween costumes to come out this year. The sexy Pearl costume.
That would be interesting, actually. It would come with like a full like prosthetic chest plate of like sagging boobs and whatnot. If RJ had gone through with it, let's just say she hit him at the right moment. He was feeling down. He had felt betrayed and cheated on.
He's like, yep.
He was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm young. I'm virile. It doesn't take much to get me going. I'm going for it.
Doing it.
If he had done the deed, do you think this night would have went down differently?
See, I wonder.
Or would she still have killed him? Or would she have been like, you know what? I got attention. This is all I wanted. I'm reinvigorated.
I'm thinking maybe she would have been fine with that, and they would have lived.
It's really a shame that RJ didn't seize the gauntlet.
Why are you being a bitch for, RJ?
You just had to cry in the shower.
God.
Get it up, you piece of shit.
Fuck that old lady. God damn it.
Oh, man. We could have gotten really into the weeds with that. I'm going to leave it there, though.
I guess we can't gloss over the old people sex scene either.
Oh, yes.
But after that point, like, she's like, no, I'm good. Because he's like, I have a girl in the basement. She's like, we don't need her anymore now. Yeah. Because she got what she wanted.
Yeah, she feels neglected. And there's a great monologue she has where she talks about how her husband would do anything for her.
She was young.
When she was young and beautiful and everything. And the idea that, like, she really just wants attention from her husband. It's very sad. But, he literally says he's scared of dying if
he's like,
he
what
has
about
sex.
My heart?
Yeah. And but I mean, he goes through with it. It's a very awkward. I kind of wonder how that would have been in the theater with an audience. This awkward sex scene between two very elderly people, which, by the way, I don't think we've really noted it. They're in old age makeup.
Yeah,
it's like younger people that are playing much older. I thought the prosthetics worked really well. Mm-hmm. And I was convinced and along for it, but every now and then there were moments where I felt like I was watching like a bad grandpa type thing.
Oh, really?
Like where it felt a little bit like I felt cognizant of people in makeup,
Right.
And
I think that's I think that's part of the aesthetic of why they shadowed them so much in darkness, because there was very few times we get like really good shots of them.
True.
In the makeup. But
it's extremely well done. I don't mean to make it sound like it was cheesy
great,
looking or anything. And just knowing...
It almost looks too great that you're like, okay, that's people in like makeup.
Well, I mean, I think it looked better than, say, like Midnight Mass. Did you watch Midnight Mass?
No, I haven't watched it.
On Netflix, there's, Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass. And
I love that dude.
It's great. You should check it out. But they have some old age makeup in there, and it's really apparent that it's like a young actor in old age makeup.
Right.
And because of those expectations, it's like when you know that there's makeup, you think, oh, are there going to be scenes of this person as a younger person? Mm-hmm. Like, and that's kind of what was in my head the whole time. I was like, for a minute, I was like, oh, once the killing starts, are they going to start like getting young again? It's going to be some weird supernatural. I kept kind of thinking, and that's my fault. That's not the filmmaker's fault. But that did kind of mess up my expectations, seeing people in old age makeup kind of, there was that little moment. But I'm glad it played out the way that it did, by the way. I wasn't like disappointed that they didn't do some weird Tales from the Crypt.
For sure.
I'm young again. Would you like to take the lead? Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of story or deaths?
Well, there's one other... It's not even the death. The death is kind of matter of fact, I guess. But it's, again, the way that Ty West structures it. It's Wayne's death. Mm-hmm. He gets a pitchfork through the eyes. Yeah. But what I like and what keeps you on what Ty West does with this that keeps you on your toes, any general other movie would either play about a brutal scene or like he does, right when he gets in the eyes, it cuts to the next scene. Mm. Which, you've seen that happen 1,000 times in slashers. It's a common trope. But what's cool about it is the next scene plays out, and then it cuts back right to the point where it's still in his eyes, and she pulls it out and comes over and stabs it. I was like, man, that's such a good way of like throwing the audience off because I figured, that scene's done. Yeah. And then it's, nope. Oh, shit. You're right back at that. Okay. Yeah. Man, I was like, wow, that was a really good moment.
Well, I think all the deaths in this were terrific. I thought they were all handled well, and there's a nice variety, again, without getting in too many specifics, but it's not the same thing over and over, but it's not like comical like a Friday the 13th where it's
it's like, I'm going to pick up this girl in this sleeping bag and bang her against the tree.
Right. There's no one getting their head knocked off and falling into a dumpster or anything. You know what I mean? The deaths here are very visceral, you feel them all. Some are quick and brutal, and some are a little bit more drawn out and agonizing, but in all cases, you feel it. It's
for sure. And I think that it also comes, even you could, these are definitely flawed characters, but you like all the characters. You like the group of filmmakers.
I agree.
Even
Wayne, who's kind of sleazy.
He's a little sleaze, but he's got a charm to him. And I think genuinely he's someone, who's kind of been, shit on in some instances of his life. And he really does just want to be, make something successful. All these characters had this charm about them, so where you like them. So it does make the impact of those deaths, you do feel them more.
Sometimes the characters kind of bounce off each other a little bit, but for the most part, they all seem to be kind of supportive of each other. And it seems to be a pretty tight-knit group of people, too. So it's like, there's none of the usual like backstabbiness that might come with characters like this, which was kind of cool, too. Wayne, by the way, I thought he was doing a great Matthew McConaughey.
That's what...
Over and over, I kept thinking, I was like, this is like a Texas accent. Oh, no, it's Matthew McConaughey.
The whole time, I was like, is he doing McConaughey? I feel like maybe it's not McConaughey. I was like, he definitely made me triggered something in my brain to think of somebody. But the only person I could think of was McConaughey.
But he does a great job, and I looked it up. The actor Martin Henderson.
Yeah.
He's from New Zealand.
Yeah, he was. I think he's like the only one from New Zealand in the cast. Yeah.
I thought he did a great job playing like a Southerner that it's like fun and a little heightened, but it's not just like over the top yokel style.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did a really great job.
Yeah, I was sorry to see him go.
I was too, man.
This plays around with some tropes because the people that don't have sex are the first ones to go. It seemed like the people that had sex on camera were like the ones that lasted the longest in the film.
Sure.
It's kind of like rolling it in reverse, sort of. I think some of the best violence or most visceral violence I've seen in recent movies would be Green Room. There's a couple of sequences in that where I felt the violence so much in that movie.
Oh my God, his arm.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And there is a moment like this in X where Ortega's character, her arm is hanging out of a door and she's trying to fumble with a lock. And a character smashes her fingers with a hammer or something like that.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't tell if it was the hammer or the butt of the gun or something.
Yeah, it may have been the butt of the gun.
But yeah, he was definitely something blunt was.
Yeah, and her fingers get mangled, and it looks so good. The makeup effects or whatever they did look so realistic, and it looks so unbelievably painful.
Yeah.
And the character just. The rest of the movies that she's in, she has her hand is all jacked up like that, where her just fingers are going at different angles, and you can see a bone sticking out. And it's been a while since like violence has affected me that much. Where I was like, oh fuck! Like as soon as it started happening, I was like, oh god, and then I just saw the aftermath, and I was like, oof, that is so well done. I mean, oof. It's always cool in a slasher when you can like actually feel the violence a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
If that's the tone, by the way.
Yeah,
you don't want that every time.
Yeah.
It's okay to just be fun too, don't get me wrong. But I just wanted to say I thought all the acting was terrific.
I thought everybody was great.
Everybody was, the whole cast top to bottom I thought was great in this.
What'd you think about Pearl?
Oh, are we going to get into the...
I mean, we can if
This is like the ultimate spoiler of the film if you don't know anything about it or whatever.
Yeah.
So just be prepared. We're about ready to let the official cat out of the bag. I guess we're talking about how Pearl is Mia Goth, right? So the actor that plays the lead character, Maxine, is also the main slasher, Pearl. So a dual role.
Did you know?
No.
I hadn't a fucking clue.
I only found out because I looked it up afterwards.
Okay, yeah. Do you know they did a prequel as well?
I only know that because I looked up. Yeah.
Okay.
Because apparently, if you see this in theaters, you get treated to a trailer for the prequel.
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't on demand for some reason.
Yeah. No, I think it was special. They're also apparently also have the farmer's daughter you can watch too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm sure it's just like some little like 10-minute short thing or whatever. But I know back when it first came out, there was an article that popped up saying how they had shot a prequel at the same time with Mia Goth in it. And I assumed... I didn't click on the article because I was like, I don't want any spoilers. And luckily I didn't because I went back after watching the movie. There was a lot of spoilers in it. I assumed it was Maxine's character, like a prequel for her.
Yeah.
But then going back and reading about the prequel... Because I didn't even know from the credits or anything. I clicked on the article for the prequel to kind of read about it, and it's like, Mia Goth playing dual roles of Pearl. I was like, that was fucking Pearl? Mia Goth was Pearl?
Right.
I was like, holy shit, I had no clue whatsoever. She did such a great job in playing Maxine and Pearl. It's two vastly different roles, and I thought she knocked it out of the park. I had no clue. Like, I definitely knew it was someone in old age makeup.
Right.
But never... the scenes they share together and everything, I never was like, is that Mia Goth?
It never got to me either, and it probably helped that I wasn't really super familiar with Mia Goth. Like I haven't seen Suspiria.
Okay, yeah,
like the remake and everything, so I'm not super familiar with her.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking for it or anything. Like it, even though I noticed it was old age makeup, I just assumed it was because these actors had to do kind of
like
physical things, so they didn't want to
yeah.
literally cast a 90-year-old, in these parts.
That's what I had assumed too, was just that because it was gonna, they were playing like slasher,
Yeah.
And I wasn't too familiar with Mia Goth either. I've seen the Suspiria remake, and I think saw her in Nymphomaniac, but I can't even, thinking back to those movies, I can't clock her anywhere in the movie, so I don't remember. But so yeah, I'm not too familiar with her either at this point, but she's definitely on my radar now. I think she did.
She's
I was
great.
so impressed with her in this movie.
The
And
character is
especially
really
as
interesting
Pearl.
too.
Yeah. I'm really interested in what they do with the Pearl prequel. I know in that Ty West interview, he was like, whatever you think it is, it's not. So I don't know. It takes place in 1918.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm interested to see what they do with it.
I mean, if it has anything to do with movies, like this one has to do with like 70s porn and, auteur filmmakers. I mean, I could only imagine it would be like silent era, like
Maybe,
glamour, Hollywood stuff.
Especially
maybe.
since it seemed like she had that same Maxine idea of like grandeur and like stardom kind of,
And I forgot what Maxine kept telling herself all through the movie, but it was basically like,
I don't accept a life I don't deserve, or something like that.
Which, spoiler, that wraps up with the evangelist on the television as well, because that's basically something he keeps saying in his what do you call it?
In his
sermons, and it's revealed that she is the daughter of this preacher that we've been seeing all through the movie.
You kind of get that at the end. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, so it all ties together. Yeah,
I thought it was just like, I thought it was just there for like the religious overtones towards sex and stuff like that, but no, it had a reason for it too.
Maxine is like the ultimate rejection of the cultural norm going into the 70s. At least, now she's like embraced, what the mainstream is now, Like sometimes I did feel like it got a little bit into too much artsy and not enough fartsy type territory, where it was a little bit smelling its own grandiose farts sometimes. But honestly, that's only if like I was just like searching for something to be critical of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes it did feel a little bit like a filmmaker that was like, I'm not just going to make a horror movie. I'm going to make an artistic horror movie.
Yeah.
And he totally accomplished that, I think. Like it actually is a strength of the movie, not like a deterrent of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about you? Do you have any criticisms really? Or you said you loved it. So.
I did. I mean, put some fucking dongs in the movie.
Oh yeah, we
Goddamn.
only see like a dong and silhouette kind of.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was fake. If not, goddamn good for Kid Cudi.
Yeah,
Shit.
I feel like it probably is fake, because if it was real, I feel like he would be like, "Listen, I can pull it out anytime you want me to."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Put
Like,
shine. Like I thought it. Like I mean, come on. They should have had that I forget the old man's name, but
yeah, I just keep calling him the farmer, but
they should have. He had a light with him. We should have just shined it right on the dick. Like show some dick. Like don't get me wrong, Mia Goth, Brittany Snow, beautiful. I'm always here for some gorgeous women nude in horror movies, but flop some dicks out there.
It is kind of weird that they shied away from it. I mean, you do
Especially
see
with they're shooting a porno,
right?
Flop some dicks around,
Right. Well, one of the themes is sexuality, how it marries with horror and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we do see a mangled penis at one point, because there's a previous captive in the basement
that's true.
that has been mutilated and everything.
They get so close. You see Kid Cudi's silhouette. You see RJ in the shower.
Right.
You see Wayne down to his skivvies, just in his tidy whities.
Interesting 70s tidy whities. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. That he just is like, I'm gonna walk around like this.
Yeah, he doesn't even put shoes on.
Flop some dicks out. Come on, man. Shit. In a movie, especially in this movie where they're subverting so many of your expectations.
Right.
When I watched the trailer for this, I was like, oh, okay, there's going to be some women nude in this. But subvert it. Flop a dick at the screen. Come on, shit. We need some more. We need some more dicks in horror movies.
Well, I'm definitely like you. Like I'm really interested in what a 1918 film could be, and I mean, I do wonder if it's going to be a straight up horror film, or if he said, whatever you think it is, it's not going to be. So, I mean, it'd be so crazy if it was just a straight drama.
Right, yeah.
It had nothing to do with slashers or anything. That'd be so wild. I mean, who knows? I mean,
I would think if anybody would do that, it'd be Ty West for sure.
And we just find out the tragedy of these characters is how they end up. Yeah, I mean,
it's just like
something to it.
Depressing tear-jerker drama.
But it ends with like a happy ending of like, things are going to work out for us, for us, for us. And then it just
credits.
Hard cut X, But for the most part, I thought everyone did a great accent, and
for sure.
The acting top to bottom was perfect.
Oh my God.
I thought everyone was really good in it.
Yeah, I was impressed with everybody. Like, I thought everybody nailed it. I was surprised with like Brittany Snow in a movie like this.
Yeah.
Because I don't follow her career religiously, but I always think of her with like, safe Hollywood movies.
Sure.
Like Pitch Perfect movies, things like Pacifier or whatever.
It's funny that with her being in Pitch Perfect, they still kind of lean into it a little bit because she
does
has like
sing,
a musical sequence.
Took my love and took it down. I climbed the mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down.
Yeah.
And I don't want to shit on that movie because Pitch Please, I like the Pitch Perfect movies.
Oh no,
but I mean they're safe movies, you know. And this one seems like a more challenging, riskier,
breaking out of it a little bit.
Yeah. So I was surprised to see her in it, but I thought she was fantastic in it.
Yeah. Well, let's grade it.
Let's do it.
What are you giving?
I'm
Ty West X.
I'm gonna give X not an X. I'm gonna give it an A.
Just an A? I thought you give it an A plus. Not quite the upper echelon.
I just thought A. I could give it an A plus too.
Well, that's what. In fairness, we both just saw this like a couple nights ago, so it's kind of hard to give a brand new movie the ultimate highest recommendation. You have to kind of let it gestate.
That is true. It's definitely, but it's definitely one that I want to watch again.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be streaming at some point. I was gonna buy the Blu-ray, but I think I'll wait on it because they had a 4K planned and then they canceled it, which means they're gonna end up coming out with a 4K later.
Yeah.
I got burned like that on Malignant. I bought the Blu-ray on that because there was no 4K, and now they got a 4K coming out. And I was like, God damn it, why didn't I just wait? So, and especially with A24, because they got a new Witch 4K coming out, and they've done some releases themselves. Like I know Krisha and what's that other one? What's the big one? Midsommar.
Oh right.
Like the director's cut of it, they put both of those out on 4K themselves. Like you can buy them on the A24 website. So I'll probably wait for an A24, but it's definitely one I want to put in my collection at some point. But until then, I'd like to watch it a little bit down the road for sure.
Yeah, I could totally see revisiting this. And again, I'm super looking forward to the next installment. And I think I'm going to go back into the Ty West catalog because I'm totally ignorant of it or whatever. And now I'm a little more interested. By the way, he's from Delaware. So not a Southerner.
Ah, you son of a bitch.
But he does, I think Delaware might have some carryover to the South.
Yeah,
because it's kind of middle of nowhere and the type of place that people don't really think of.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Canada of the United States. All right. The Holler Kings. Oh, yes.
Did you grade it?
I did not. I was shying away from it. I think I'll give it A minus. I enjoyed it. It just, the artsiness of it sometimes got to me.
Yeah.
Like it got under the A24-ness of it kind of got to me.
Seeped in a little too much.
Just a little bit. But I mean, again, that's like me trying to be critical.
Right.
Like, I could totally see revisiting this movie and enjoying it. And, this is a rare one that you could watch alone. And get as much out of it as I think if you saw it with friends and you guys, maybe laughed at it sometimes or, cut up a little bit. It's kind of one of those movies where I think it can kind of work on both levels. It's pretty rare in that case. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I could definitely see this being like one, like you said, one of those you watch at home and let it engulf you, but also being one of those midnight movies that you watch with like a crowd or like a group of friends and stuff.
the motif of aging and regretting how your life turned out, it didn't affect me at all.
Not at all.
I didn't think about it at all.
Never experienced that.
I didn't think about my job or how my life ended up professionally.
Everything's great. I don't cry in the shower like RJ.
Well, the Holler Kings say check it out.
Check
X.
it out.
On demand now.
It marks the spot.
Oh, I like it. We like to end every episode of the Holler Kings with a segment we call Holler at Your Boys.
Holler at your boys.
Y'all.
Yup.
You heard me say that too. You're trying to drop some of that southernness. You don't want to be too on the nose.
Yeah.
So this is open topic. We just kind of balls out. Let you know what we're thinking about.
Flop those balls out.
Ooh, in the world of horror. And we actually are going to have a listener question today. This is from a Mr. David Shantz. I don't know if he wants his name revealed, but that's what it is on Instagram.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's balls out on Instagram.
Yeah, he went balls out.
Mr. David, it's your fault. But he did
this
ask
is on you.
Yes. But through our social media on Instagram, which is at the Holler Kings, very easy to find, David reached out and he asked us,
Dearest Kings of the Holler, you guys mentioned in the Squirm episode, I think, young directors on YouTube doing cool stuff. Anyone that you would recommend in particular?
So thank you very much for the question,
Yes,
David.
thank you for that question.
Adam, I'm throwing you under the bus. Answer him. Answer the man.
I have no clue. Yeah. Really, thank you for the question. That's awesome. I can't. There's not a whole lot as far as there are of course those ones that are like that have moved on, but look at like Fede Alvarez. He did that short film that kind of went viral, and then next thing you know, he's doing.
Is he? Refresh me. Who is that?
He went on after that to do the Evil Dead remake and Don't Breathe and all that.
Well, and there's. I mean, I guess that's something to be said about it. I mean, it is kind of a testing ground now for people to break through to, the next level. Because there's also the guy that did...
David Sandberg, the dude that did Lights Out.
Exactly, yeah.
I was going to bring him up too, yeah. Because he was doing all these shorts, and then he just had that one Lights Out that kind of exploded, and next thing you know, he's doing... a full-length version of it, going on to the Conjuring universe, and now to DC doing like Shazam and all that.
That's pretty wild, yeah. That was a quick ascent as well. I feel like that's like a 5-year time frame almost.
Yeah, once he hit it, he just exploded. Yeah. And you can actually, that's one I definitely recommend, because like Fede Alvarez, I don't think he's really put in that much content on there anymore, but like he goes by Pony Smasher. That's his YouTube channel, Pony Smasher, David Sandberg. But like he still puts like tutorials of like different types of software, and kind of breaks down how he does different shots and everything in his short films, and still puts up short films some here and there. And I mean, a lot of that might just be have been due to the pandemic, and so. But like even when he did Annabelle Creation, the second Annabelle movie. And like he has like behind the scenes making of videos on there of it. So I mean he's still active on there and puts stuff out. So that's someone like that is definitely someone I'd recommend.
Annabelle Creation was a lot of fun too. It was a huge improvement on the original.
The first one, yeah. Although there was one really great scare in the first Annabelle, but yeah, that one went great. But Creation, I feel like he knocked it out of the park with that one. That was a lot of fun.
Well, and I guess that's kind of, we were making sort of sweeping statements in the Squirm episode about young YouTubers, just because we know that's kind of the new frontier for people to get discovered for filmmaking and acting too. Because I mean, I think Saturday Night Live members are recruited from YouTube now. Like that's literally just what they do is they make
that recent one. Sarah. I forget her name, Sarah Shermer or something like that. Like she had a bunch of YouTube type stuff, and now she's on, SNL. Yeah, most of it is just like stuff that you just, or you could even go with stuff like, I've talked about him before, Vincent DeSante. I don't know if he's necessarily young. I don't know the specific age of any of these filmmakers, but, he's doing all, like, the Friday the 13th fan films, the Never Hike Alone and stuff, and knocking it out of the park with all that. And then, like, just last night, me and my son watched some... I mean, it's on YouTube, but I think it's like fan filmed type of thing, because I don't think it's studio related at all. They funded it on Indiegogo, but it was Mystery Incorporated, and it's like a serious, like, live action version of Scooby-Doo. I guess all like Riverdale, kind of. I haven't seen Riverdale, but I kind of get that type of thing. And it would, something like that's, that's not coming out of the studio. Warner Brothers, who I think owns Scooby-Doo, they're not doing anything like that. And for, when my son was young, like, we watched Scooby-Doo constantly, pretty much. That was like his shit. He loved it. But now he's about to be 14, those cartoons. He has the nostalgia for it, but he don't really want to watch any, like, the new movies, the new Scooby-Doo cartoons and stuff that come out. So watching something like that's kind of... will just pique his interest a little bit more, because it's like more serious and more kind of adult and things like that. It's just awesome to be able to watch something like that you're not going to get out of the studios.
Scooby-Doo is such a great gateway horror, too.
Yeah, it really is.
It kind of lays down a foundation when you're a kid of monsters and spookiness, like all the hallmarks of the genre and everything in a palatable way for a young person. It's really cool.
And like... I'm not even going to lie. Most of them carry over for adults. There are some of them that are not great, but if you watch, like, Camp Scare is one of my favorites. Yeah. And it's basically just a, almost like an 80s slasher film. And, like, it's set at camp, and there's the woodsmen who running around with the axe and all this. And there's some other, like, ghosts and stuff, like creatures and ghosts, too. It's a whole big thing. There's a creature in the lake and all this. But it's a great one. And then you got, like... Witches, Ghosts, and Zombie Island. There's a ton of, like, really fun ones.
I'm gonna show my age here, or just that I'm an old soul. Do you know the root of Scooby-Doo, like what the character designs are based on and stuff like that?
No, I don't believe so.
It's something. It's become obscure, but at the time, I think it was very on the nose. But it's Dobie Gillis. Like, all the characters in Dobie Gillis are literally the characters in Scooby-Doo, because the main character, Dobie Gillis, he's kind of like, picture him kind of like a Ferris Bueller or a Zach Morris type character.
Yeah,
he like talks to the screen and everything. It's like from the late 50s, early 60s, but yet all those hallmarks are in that show, Dobie Gillis.
Really?
And he has a beatnik friend that is played by Bob Denver. Isn't he the guy that did Gilligan?
I think
it's before your time, so I'm getting... But he plays a beatnik character, and that's Shaggy, like, straight up. And, like, the love interest, all the different love interest of Dobie Gillis, they're, like, the facsimiles for the women characters in Scooby-Doo and everything. It's pretty wild. Yeah, because he had, like, a nerdy love interest and a more traditional, pretty love interest.
Yeah.
And those kind of, juxtaposed for the Scooby-Doo characters.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Which at the time, I think that was kind of a reference. You know what I mean? Like, someone in the late 60s would have been like, oh, these are kind of like Dobie Gillis. Yeah. That's funny. You know what I mean? But it's lost on us now, generations later, a little bit.
Scooby-Doo's become such a juggernaut, and there's so much time that's passed. It's like, what was that?
So that's your Scooby-Doo 101.
There you go.
With Craig and
you
Adam.
Didn't ask for it, but you fucking got it.
There you go, David. Enjoy. Holler at your boys. No, so we have basically told David, just Google or just search in YouTube, fuck you. So
well, no, I do know. There's one that's like Corridor. And they do like a bunch of like visual effects stuff. They have like a lot of action to it.
So
like
Corridor is like the handle on YouTube?
Yeah. You just look up Corridor. Like just recently, I don't know, maybe a week or two ago, they released, it's like the new Batman,
Robert Pattinson,
thank you. It's like that Batman, but it's Adam West worked in there. Like,
oh, I've seen this.
Yeah,
I've seen this. Yeah, someone sent that. Jeff sent that to me. Yeah,
that's Corridor, and they do a bunch of just cool stuff like that. And so I recommend them. I watch them. They're one of the few that like it's not just, oh, I saw this video, it was really cool, and I don't know anything about it. I watch a lot of their stuff. So yeah, that's one I definitely recommend. There's a couple others. I'm not too familiar with them. These Rocket Jump, that's the handle on YouTube, and they're kind of, again, like Corridor. They do a bunch of different like action stuff, so that's one to check out. See if you like. Brandon JLA is another one that's doing a bunch of like cool, building like VR games and stuff, and
nice.
like they have like gameplay and everything. He shows it on there. It looks really cool, and that's something I just recently got into because I got my son that Oculus Quest.
Oh yes, yeah.
What Meta, whatever the fuck it's called.
Right.
But I mean, it's super fun. Like, and
it's like plopping you down in a horror movie in a way, right?
Yeah.
Or just any genre, I'm sure.
Because they have a Creed boxing game.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of boxing. Don't give a shit about it. I respect those movies, but I'm not a big sports movie type person.
Although you are a pugilist.
I'm a what?
Pugilist.
What's a pugilist?
It's a boxer. It's like an old-timey boxer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This means that you're a badass. You can like fight with your hands. Yeah.
I guess so. Probably not. But that Creed game is really fun. So yeah, with that I've been getting into like a bunch of like VR stuff. So he's a good one to check out. I tell you, one of the best ones, who it's kind of the reverse of like Sandberg and Alvarez. He seemed to start out directing movies and has went more towards YouTube. I don't know if just not any care in the studio system or what it is, but Neil Blomkamp, I guess that's how you say his name. He did like District 9 and Chappie and Elysium.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But like he has a YouTube channel now called Oats Studio. The short films that he's been putting out are unreal.
I didn't realize he was doing that. That's cool.
Yeah. Several of them are a few years old, but Firebase is a really good one, and Zygote is a really good one. I don't know. He's got several, and the visual effects in these things are insane. So I definitely recommend checking out his YouTube channel and watching that stuff.
I'm kind of surprised. Now that you bring that up, I'm a little surprised that more established filmmakers aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Aren't just going, you know what? Like, again, I will cut my own check. And why am I dealing with the studios and stuff? I have a name. I'm just going to create my own content and see what happens. You know what I mean? Especially like the kind of mid-tier people, like a Neil Blomkamp or whatever. Because, I mean, obviously he's made huge studio movies, but, I'm sure it's really tough. I know he's had a lot of projects that kind of start to take off, and then, like the Alien sequel that he had done, had in the works for a long time, never came to be.
Yeah, you can say, I mean, he don't really do the YouTube stuff, but you look at like Kevin Smith, most of his stuff's gone pretty independent. He does, he's just do like these $2 to $5 million movies, and then just, for wallet, take it on the road and
sells like direct to market style.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like with YouTube, so that's kind of what I know. Netflix picked up, and some of his short films you can actually watch some of the Oats Studio stuff on Netflix now. But it originally started on YouTube, and he's got some unreal stuff on there.
I had a couple to add to the conversation. I'm less with YouTube. I don't really seek out narrative stuff that often, so that's kind of, I'm going to start doing that though, because that sounds really interesting. But a couple of people that I like a lot that are kind of content creators and just talk about horror movies and everything. There's Brother Ghoulish on YouTube, and he's all over social networking and everything. Just has like really fun roundups and reactions and reviews to horror movies and everything. He's a great one to look up. And there's also a local person, Taylor Gentry. He does a character called Count Drahoon, who's kind of like a Dracula, almost like SCTV style Dracula character. Yeah. And he stages live radio plays and YouTubes them, like he streams them and everything. And it's just a really fun concept and something I'd like to see him continue and expand on and everything. So it's just really cool to kind of see someone starting at the very, I hesitate to say very bottom, but he's just getting started.
Yeah.
And kind of the steam he's building up because he has like a cast of players, and he writes his own scripts and everything, collaborates with people. It's a really cool YouTube channel and content creator to look up. So
that's awesome.
Taylor Gentry / Count Drahoon, and
that's on YouTube.
It's Camcorder Television.
Camcorder Television.
Yeah, is the YouTube handle. And I think if you plug in Taylor Gentry, it'll pop up as well. And he has a website also, camcordertv.com. So I think the idea is that, he's going to have a production company and expand on that. So maybe that's why he picked a more mainstream sounding name.
Yeah.
Instead of, Count Drahoon TV or something that might be a little harder to brand maybe. But yeah, he's based out of Murfreesboro and, a cool young guy making some stuff. So definitely check him out. And then obviously the hallmark of Middle Tennessee content creation would be Dr. Gangrene.
Right.
I mean, I feel like he's just a must follow on social media and YouTube, especially because he has great, videos, countdowns about, horror history and Doc Gangrene.
You can't go wrong with Doc Gangrene. I love Doc Gangrene so much. I used to watch. How did you discover him? Was it?
Cable access, late 90s. Yeah.
Oh, late 90s.
Yeah,
Damn, you're earlier than me. I just discovered him on cable access, but it was probably like 2003, 4-ish. Because whenever my parents first got divorced, my mom moved out, kind of a little out of the city, in the Castilian Springs area. She don't live there anymore. And she didn't have cable or anything. She just had regular TV. And we would go, just to kind of make, like ease everything, we would go stay with her pretty much every weekend. And I would be up all night watching TV. And I came across it one day, his Chiller Cinema.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I came across that one night and I was like, what is this? And I became an instant fan. So every Saturday night, I think it was like Saturday at 1 on like channel 30 or 58 or whatever it was, I'd be there watching Chiller Cinema. So I fell in love with him at that point.
When I found out he was based in Shackle Island as well,
yeah.
I thought that was really cool because I assumed he was like Nashville,
right?
Which he is. I mean, this is inside baseball stuff, but I mean, he essentially that is Nashville, suburban Nashville, I guess. So it's not incorrect for him to say Nashville horror host or whatever. Right. Those in the know that he's talking about.
Know. He's
Hendersonville.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound as cool to say Hendersonville horror host.
Right, yeah, no, they're like, it's like, who, where, what the fuck?
Johnny Cash used to live there. It's like its big claim to fame.
Well, I guess they got Taylor Swift now, but...
Does she live in Hendersonville?
That's where she was from. Yeah. So.
Well, she's really from Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, I think country's terrible.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Well, this creepy country episode we're gonna do is gonna be interesting.
No, I let me say there are definitely country songs I do like.
Yeah,
for sure. But overall, as a genre of music, I'm not a fan.
But see, you grew up in the '90s, correct?
Yeah.
I
grew up with I grew up with like country music, and I mean we can get more into that.
Yeah, I was going to say let's put a pin in this because we're about ready to stay tuned for a country music centric episode from the Holler Kings with noted country music hater Adam Troutt. But David, thank you so much for the question. Sorry
thank you.
Kind of went all over the place with it, but
hopefully there was an answer in there for you somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe not the answer you wanted, but I guess it's the answer we got. I don't know. I guess we, like you said, we talked more in the episode like we were in the know more than we were. My whole statement on it was just that in general there's like great stuff that you can find on YouTube, but I don't follow many people. Those few that I mentioned, especially like Oats Studio, those and Pony Smasher, those few that I mentioned are some of the ones that I actually know and I know put out great content. But a lot of the other stuff is just finding those videos from different people that, Well,
and David, be sure to go to our YouTube channel, The Holler Kings. because I'll put show notes underneath this episode so that you can find links to some of the content creators we talked about and everything. So it'll be easy access. And anyone listening, if you're a content creator or a filmmaker on YouTube, or if you know of someone that you would recommend, please reach out to us, because we're always on the hunt.
Absolutely.
For horror.
And keep those questions and comments coming. Yeah. Hopefully we'll try to answer better next time.
We'll be a little more prepared, maybe. But that's at the Holler Kings on all social networks, and thehollerkings@gmail.com if you ever want to reach out to us. Anyway, thank you for listening. Godspeed.
Holla, holla. Flop a dick at the screen. Come on, shit.